When people hear the phrase heart trouble, their first thought often goes to the physical organ that keeps us alive, the muscle pumping blood through our veins every moment of every day. They think of medical reports, stress tests, cholesterol levels, and prescriptions that are meant to protect the body. And while that dimension is important, there is a deeper and far more dangerous kind of heart trouble that too often goes unnoticed. It is not measured by stethoscopes or ECG machines, but by the quiet struggles within the mind and spirit. This is the heart trouble that begins with thoughts, emotions, and the subtle but powerful patterns of belief that we carry inside us. It is the kind of trouble that does not simply show up on a medical chart but shows itself in how we live, in the way we face challenges, in how we love, and in how we treat ourselves. Think about it for a moment. A person can have a strong physical body, they can appear outwardly healthy, yet inside they may be weighed down by fear, insecurity, or a lingering sense of regret. Their heart is not at ease. Every beat carries with it a silent heaviness, because the real trouble has never been addressed. The heart is not only a pump for blood, it is the center of our emotional and spiritual life. When the mind is clouded with worry, when the emotions are tangled in resentment, when the imagination is chained by doubt, the heart suffers. The trouble is not with the muscle itself, but with the atmosphere in which it is forced to live. This kind of heart trouble often begins quietly. It can start with a single disappointment that we never fully let go of, a dream that slipped away, a betrayal that cut deep, or a fear that we rehearsed so often it became part of our identity. Slowly, it creeps in, and the heart begins to grow heavy. The person may still function, may still laugh, may even appear successful, but underneath there is unrest. They know deep down that something is not right. They may wake up at night with a sense of emptiness or move through the day with an undercurrent of unease. That is heart trouble. And here's the truth. This inner kind of trouble is more destructive than most people realize. It steals vitality, it weakens clarity, and it erodes hope. A person who carries unresolved guilt will struggle to step fully into their potential. Someone who constantly replays failures in their mind will shrink away from new opportunities. Someone who lives under the shadow of fear will never taste the freedom of bold living. This is the disease of the inner heart, and it spreads silently until it becomes normal for the person to live with a low vibration, to accept life as something to endure rather than something to create. The real danger is that society rarely talks about this kind of heart trouble. We applaud the external successes, the achievements, the possessions, but ignore the fact that many people have achieved much and yet remain restless and broken inside. Their bank accounts may be full, but their hearts are empty. Their schedule may be busy, but their spirit feels numb. This is why so many people, with all the outward signs of success, confess to feeling lonely, anxious, or unfulfilled. The heart was designed for more than routine survival. It was designed for joy, for passion, for vision, for connection. When those deeper needs are ignored, heart trouble sets in. To understand this, one must realize that the mind and the heart are deeply connected. A thought of fear does not stay in the brain alone. It sends a signal to the heart. A thought of doubt does not remain intellectual. It creates an emotional current that weighs down the spirit. Every negative idea we allow to take root becomes a burden for the heart to carry. Imagine trying to run a race while holding a heavy stone in your chest. That is what many people are doing every day. They are trying to move forward while dragging fear, regret, resentment, and insecurity with them. And then they wonder why they feel tired, why they feel stuck, why they cannot break through. The trouble is not in their abilities, it is in the condition of the heart. But here's the remarkable truth. Just as physical heart trouble can be treated when detected early, this inner kind of heart trouble can also be transformed. The first step is awareness. One has to pause and look honestly within, to admit that the real problem is not the boss, not the economy, not the past, but the atmosphere of thoughts and emotions they are entertaining every single day. That awareness is liberating because it puts the power back in your hands. You cannot always control what happens outside you, but you can control what you allow to live inside you. When you recognize that the true heart trouble begins with fear, doubt, regret, or resentment, you are in a position to choose differently. Most people never slow down long enough to confront this. They keep themselves busy with distractions, entertainment, constant activity, hoping that motion will drown out the unease. But business is not healing. Healing comes when the individual faces the truth of their inner state and makes a decision to shift it. This is not a quick fix, but it is the only real cure. A heart weighed down by fear needs courage. A heart chained to regret needs release. A heart entangled in resentment needs forgiveness. A heart clouded by doubt needs vision. Every thought that crosses your mind carries with it an energy, a frequency, a vibration that flows into the body and directly affects the condition of the heart. The heart is not just a physical organ that beats automatically. It is also sensitive to the emotional environment in which you live. When you allow thoughts of doubt, anger, jealousy, or fear to dominate, those vibrations create turbulence in the heart. It is as if the heart is being forced to operate in a storm, and over time that storm takes a toll on the entire system. On the other hand, when you deliberately focus on gratitude, love, joy, and peace, the heart receives energy that uplifts, strengthens, and revitalizes. This is why two people can face the same set of circumstances but respond entirely differently, because one person has trained their inner emotional state to produce life-giving energy, while the other has allowed negativity to drain them from within. Most people underestimate just how powerful their thoughts are in shaping their emotional energy. They think emotions are something that simply happen, as if they are victims of moods that rise and fall like the weather. But the truth is that every emotion begins with a thought. A single thought of loss can trigger sadness. A thought of betrayal can ignite anger. A thought of uncertainty can produce anxiety. And, when those thoughts are repeated and reinforced, they create an emotional atmosphere that becomes normal for the individual. That atmosphere directly affects the heart. If the atmosphere is heavy with negativity, the heart beats under strain. If the atmosphere is filled with uplifting thoughts, the heart beats with freedom and ease. Imagine a person who wakes up each morning rehearsing what went wrong yesterday, or worrying about what might go wrong tomorrow. They spend hours entertaining images of failure, conversations of conflict, or predictions of disaster. What kind of energy do you think their heart is absorbing? That kind of energy is draining, suffocating, and it leaves the individual tired, even before they begin the day. Now picture another person who wakes up and immediately focuses on what they are grateful for, who takes a moment to imagine the day going well, who chooses to think about opportunities instead of obstacles. Their heart is energized because the emotional current is positive, and that energy carries them through challenges with resilience. This is not just an abstract idea, it is practical. The human body responds physically to emotional energy. Science has shown that stress and fear release chemicals that put the body in survival mode, increasing the heart rate and keeping the system on edge. Over time, this constant state of tension wears the body down. On the other hand, emotions like gratitude and joy release chemicals that calm, restore, and promote healing. The heart is directly influenced by the emotions you cultivate, and the emotions are born from the thoughts you choose to repeat. This means you are never a helpless victim of your inner state. You are the one creating it every moment. The difficulty is that many people have spent years, even decades, feeding their heart with the wrong energy. They have made negativity a habit. They gossip about problems, complain about circumstances, expect the worst, and in doing so they generate a vibration that keeps their heart under constant stress. They may not realize it, but their own thought patterns are the source of their heaviness. They carry bitterness toward people from the past, anger toward situations that cannot be changed, fear of possibilities that may never happen, and all of that becomes a constant drain. They feel tired, but the tiredness is not only in their body, it is in their heart. The cure begins when a person decides to become intentional about the emotional energy they produce. Instead of letting emotions control them, they learn to trace emotions back to thoughts, and then choose different thoughts. This requires awareness. It means pausing when anger rises and asking, "What thought triggered this?" It means noticing when fear creeps in and asking, "What am I imagining right now?" It means being honest when bitterness lingers and asking, "Why am I holding on to this picture of the past?" By bringing awareness to the root thoughts, you reclaim power over the energy you are generating. The moment you realize you can choose a better thought, you open the door to a better emotion, and with that comes better energy for the heart. There is nothing weak or passive about choosing positive energy. It is one of the most powerful decisions a person can make. It does not mean ignoring reality or pretending problems don't exist. It means facing reality with a different vibration. Fear says, "I can't handle this." Gratitude says, "I am thankful for the strength I do have." Anger says, "Life is unfair." Love says, "I will not let circumstances define my spirit." Doubt says, "What if I fail?" Vision says, "What if I succeed?" These are not just words, they are currents of energy flowing into the heart. One drains and one sustains. There are few burdens heavier on the human heart than the weight of unforgiveness. It does not matter whether the wound was inflicted years ago or only yesterday, the memory of it lingers, echoing through thoughts and shaping emotions in ways many people never truly understand. When someone holds on to bitterness, anger, or resentment, they are carrying an invisible load that grows heavier over time. It is like putting a stone inside the heart and then trying to live each day as if nothing is wrong. The body may go through the motions, the face may smile, the voice may sound cheerful, but deep within there is a hardness, a heaviness that never really goes away until forgiveness enters the picture. What most people do not realize is that unforgiveness does not punish the other person nearly as much as it punishes the one who carries it. The person who wronged you may move on with life, may even forget what they did, but if you refuse to release it, You live in a prison built by your own emotions. Every time the memory returns, it stirs the same anger, the same pain, the same frustration, and the heart tightens again. It is like reopening a wound that was never allowed to heal. And just as a physical wound that is never cleaned will fester and grow worse, so does the wound of unforgiveness. It spreads into other areas of life, coloring how you see people, how you trust, how you respond to opportunities. There are individuals who never form close relationships because deep inside they are still replaying betrayals from the past. There are people who sabotage their own success because they are too focused on what someone once said they could not do. There are those who never truly feel joy because they have allowed bitterness to drain the sweetness out of every good experience. All of this is heart trouble, not in the medical sense, but in the emotional and spiritual sense. And the cure is not found in revenge, not found in waiting for an apology, not found in pretending it never happened. The cure is found in forgiveness. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. Many people think forgiveness means excusing the wrong or acting as if the wound was not real. Others think forgiveness means letting someone back into your life without boundaries. But forgiveness is not about minimizing the pain or ignoring reality. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the weight of carrying the offense. It is about saying, I will not let this event, this person, this memory, dictate the condition of my heart any longer. It is not weakness. It is strength. It is not surrender. It is victory. The one who forgives does not lose. They are the ones who finally win. Consider how many people spend sleepless nights rehearsing conversations that already happened, imagining what they should have said, picturing how they will prove the other person wrong. That cycle does not harm the other person. It harms the one who is thinking it. The mind grows restless, the emotions grow tense, the heart grows weary. This is the silent damage of unforgiveness. It does not just sit quietly. It eats away at peace, steals joy, and erodes hope. A person with unforgiveness may smile on the outside, but the moment the memory is triggered, the storm comes back with full force. This is why some people feel stuck, unable to move forward, unable to truly experience freedom, because part of their heart is still chained to an old hurt. The act of forgiveness, however, releases that chain. It is not something you wait to feel like doing. It is something you decide to do. Feelings may not change overnight, but the decision creates a shift in the heart. It is choosing to put down the heavy stone you have been carrying, to stop rehearsing the pain, to let the wound breathe so healing can begin. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself before it ever blesses anyone else. It restores energy that was being wasted on anger. It creates space in the heart for love to flow again. It makes room for new joy to enter. Many people resist forgiveness because they think holding on to the anger gives them power. They believe if they let go, it means the other person got away with what they did. But in truth, holding on gives the other person more power than they deserve. It ties your heart to their actions and keeps you stuck in the past. Forgiveness, on the other hand, is reclaiming your power. It says, what you did is no longer in control of me. It is drawing a line in the sand and deciding that your future will not be determined by past offenses. This is why forgiveness is one of the most profound cures for heart trouble. It lifts the invisible weight, it softens the hard places inside, and it restores peace that no external achievement can provide. The heart was never designed to carry bitterness. It was designed to flow with love, hope, and freedom. When unforgiveness is present, the flow is blocked. When forgiveness is chosen, the flow begins again, and the heart finds relief. Gratitude is one of the most powerful medicines for the human heart, yet it is often overlooked because of its simplicity. People tend to search for complicated solutions to the troubles they face. But the truth is that the heart responds instantly to the energy of gratitude. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is missing to what is present, from what is broken to what is still whole, from what is painful to what is possible. When the heart is troubled, when life feels heavy, when circumstances seem unfair, gratitude becomes a light that pierces the darkness and reminds you that there is still something to hold on to, something to live for, something to celebrate. It is not just a pleasant thought, it is a force that changes the entire inner state of being. When a person begins to practice gratitude deliberately, something incredible happens within them. The weight of worry begins to lift, the sting of resentment starts to fade, and the heart opens up to receive new energy. Gratitude reconditions the way the mind thinks and teaches the heart to beat with strength rather than strain. Imagine someone who wakes up every day and immediately starts focusing on problems. The bills they have to pay, the people who frustrate them, the goals they have not yet reached. Their heart enters the day already troubled, already stressed. Now imagine that same person choosing instead to start the day by recognizing even the smallest blessings. The breath in their lungs, the sunrise breaking through the sky, the ability to think, to move, to choose, to begin again. That one choice changes the vibration of their entire day, and the heart responds with renewed calmness and vitality. It is easy to dismiss gratitude as something too basic to matter, but gratitude has the power to rewire how we process life. A heart filled with gratitude does not mean problems vanish, but it means problems lose their ability to dominate. Gratitude does not deny challenges, it puts them in perspective. A grateful person may still face setbacks, but they see them differently. Instead of sinking under the weight of defeat, they notice lessons in the struggle and opportunities hidden in the difficulty. That perspective keeps the heart from collapsing under pressure. The trouble may still be real, but the heart is no longer consumed by it. Gratitude also transforms relationships. A troubled heart often looks at others with suspicion, frustration, or disappointment, always focusing on what people did wrong, what they failed to do, or how they let us down. Gratitude shifts that focus to what people have done right, to the kindness they have shown, to the value they add simply by being present. This shift does not mean ignoring faults. It means choosing not to let faults blind us to the blessings that exist in human connections. A grateful heart can restore harmony in families, can soften conflicts in friendships, can bring peace where bitterness once lived. Gratitude is like oil poured on the gears of a relationship. It removes the friction that wears people down and allows love to flow more freely. On a personal level, gratitude strengthens resilience. Life inevitably brings storms, and no one is exempt from difficulty, but a grateful heart weathers those storms differently. While others may crumble under adversity, the grateful individual finds an anchor in what is still good. Even when one area of life seems to be falling apart, gratitude says, "Yes, this is hard, but look at what I still have." That outlook keeps the heart steady and prevents despair from taking over. Gratitude gives the heart the courage to endure hardship without being broken by it, to keep moving forward even when the path is unclear. Gratitude is also deeply connected to joy. Many people chase joy in possessions, achievements, or recognition, but lasting joy is not found in acquiring more. It is found in appreciating more. A person who is never satisfied, who constantly compares themselves to others, will always have a troubled heart. They will always feel restless because their focus is on lack. But the one who lives with gratitude finds joy in simple things, in moments, in everyday gifts that others overlook. This kind of joy is not fragile because it is not tied to circumstances. It is tied to perspective. Gratitude creates a heart that can experience happiness regardless of external conditions, and that kind of joy is unshakable. The heart was designed to thrive on positive energy, and gratitude is one of the purest sources of that energy. It lowers stress, brings peace, and strengthens the inner being. Gratitude makes room for hope, and where hope is present, the heart can heal. A heart that beats with gratitude is no longer consumed with regret about the past or anxiety about the future. It lives in the present with appreciation, and in that space, healing flows naturally. Gratitude may not change every situation on the outside, but it absolutely changes the condition on the inside, and when the inside changes, everything else begins to follow. Love is the most powerful force available to the human heart, yet many underestimate its healing capacity. When the heart is troubled, when it feels weighed down by fear, worry, or bitterness, love has the ability to dissolve those blockages and restore harmony. Love is not merely a fleeting emotion that comes and goes depending on circumstances. It is a conscious choice, a deliberate state of being, and a powerful current that can transform even the heaviest of burdens. When you choose love over fear, you are not just making a moral decision. You are giving your heart the strongest medicine it could ever receive. Fear and love cannot occupy the same space at the same time. Fear contracts the heart, makes it small, makes it guarded and hesitant. Love expands the heart, makes it open, makes it generous, makes it resilient. A heart that has learned to operate in love cannot be dominated by fear, because love casts out the anxiety that eats away at peace. This is why two people can face the same storm in life, but one collapses under fear while the other stands firm in love. Love provides courage, strength, and vision, and it gives the heart the ability to rise above circumstances rather than being crushed by them. The healing force of love is most evident in relationships. People who live with a troubled heart often struggle to trust, to connect, to open themselves fully. They build walls around themselves in an attempt to stay safe, but those walls also keep out the very healing they need. When love is chosen, those walls begin to break down. Love says, "Even though I have been hurt, I will not let bitterness control me." Love says, "Even though life has not always been fair, I will not allow resentment to poison me." Love does not deny that wounds exist, but it refuses to let those wounds define the future. The heart begins to heal the moment it chooses love, because love restores what fear has taken away. Love is also an energy that flows outward, touching not only the person who carries it, but also everyone around them. A heart filled with love changes the atmosphere in a room. It softens tension, diffuses anger, and opens the door for understanding. Think about the times you have been in the presence of someone who radiates genuine kindness, compassion, and warmth. Their very presence feels calming, as if their love is contagious. That is the power of love at work. It heals not only the individual, but spreads healing to others. A troubled heart that learns to live in love becomes a source of healing for family, friends, and even strangers. The greatest misconception about love is that it is fragile, that it makes one weak or vulnerable. But love is the strongest force there is. Fear destroys, anger consumes, resentment drains, but love builds, strengthens, and endures. To choose love in the face of hate is not weakness. It is the ultimate demonstration of strength. To remain calm when provoked, to remain kind when misunderstood, to remain compassionate when rejected. This is the power of love in action. The heart that beats with love cannot be defeated because it operates on a higher frequency than any negative force it encounters. Love also heals the relationship a person has with themselves. Many hearts are troubled not because of what others have done, but because of how harshly they judge themselves. They replay mistakes, criticize every flaw, and live in shame over past decisions. That constant self-condemnation creates a heart heavy with guilt and regret. Love, however, speaks differently. Love says, "You are more than your mistakes." Love says, "You are worthy of healing and growth." Love does not ignore failure, but it does not make failure the definition of identity. When a person begins to extend love to themselves, to forgive, to nurture, to believe in their own worth, their heart begins to recover from the years of damage caused by self-rejection. The practice of love goes beyond words. It is lived out in actions and decisions. Choosing to see the best in people, choosing to respond with patience instead of anger, choosing to extend compassion instead of judgment. All of these are daily applications of love. Each choice strengthens the heart, making it less vulnerable to the troubles that once dominated. The more consistently love is practiced, the stronger and healthier the heart becomes. Just as exercise builds physical endurance, practicing love builds emotional and spiritual endurance. Love is also deeply connected to purpose. A life lived without love feels empty, no matter how much success is achieved or how many possessions are gathered. But a life lived with love has a richness that cannot be measured by external standards. Love gives meaning to the ordinary. It transforms simple moments into sacred ones and turns everyday experiences into opportunities for connection and growth. A troubled heart often feels restless and unsatisfied because it is searching for meaning in the wrong places. When love becomes the guiding force, that restlessness begins to ease, and the heart finds fulfillment that nothing else can provide. A heart without a clear sense of purpose eventually grows tired, not because it lacks strength, but because it lacks direction. When the inner compass is missing, when a person drifts through life without knowing why they are here or where they are going, the heart begins to carry a weight of confusion and emptiness. The trouble is not always in the circumstances, but in the absence of a guiding vision that pulls the heart forward. Every individual has within them a longing to live for something bigger than themselves, something that awakens passion, something that makes effort worthwhile. When that longing is ignored or suppressed, the heart struggles, and over time it becomes weary, restless, and unfulfilled. Purpose gives the heart a reason to endure difficulties and to rise above them. Without it, challenges feel pointless, suffering feels unbearable, and victories feel hollow. With it, every obstacle becomes meaningful because it contributes to something greater. Consider the difference between two people who face the same setback. One sees it as the end, as another piece of evidence that life is unfair. The other sees it as a test, a stepping stone, an opportunity to grow stronger for the sake of the vision they carry. The same event produces despair in one heart and determination in another, and the difference lies in whether or not purpose is present. A troubled heart often spends too much energy looking backward, replaying past mistakes, or looking sideways, comparing itself to others. But a heart aligned with purpose looks forward. It wakes each morning with something to pursue, a sense of direction that provides fuel for the journey. Even when the path is difficult, the heart draws strength from knowing that every step matters, every sacrifice counts, every effort is connected to a vision that extends beyond the moment. That knowledge alone can relieve the heart from the heaviness of meaningless struggle. Living with purpose also protects the heart from distractions that drain life. When you do not know where you are going, every path seems tempting, and the heart becomes scattered, pulled in many directions without making real progress. But when you have a clear vision, you are not swayed by every opinion, not moved by every setback, not consumed by every criticism. The heart remains steady because it has an anchor. That anchor provides clarity in decision, making, strength in hardship, and joy in progress, no matter how small. Purpose does not always have to be something grand in the eyes of the world. It does not always mean fame, wealth, or recognition. Purpose can be as profound as raising a family with love, creating something that helps others, serving in a way that leaves people better than you found them, or simply becoming the best version of yourself. The heart does not measure purpose by size, but by authenticity. When the purpose aligns with who you truly are, the heart finds peace and power in the pursuit of it. One of the greatest dangers to the heart is aimless living. A person can go through years repeating routines, working jobs they hate, living in relationships that drain them, chasing goals they never truly cared about, and all the while the heart whispers that something is missing. That whisper grows louder over time until it becomes a roar of dissatisfaction, and yet many ignore it, numbing themselves with distractions, entertainment, or business. But the cure is not to silence the heart. The cure is to listen to it. The restlessness is not a curse. It is a signal pointing toward unfulfilled purpose. When the heart finally aligns with vision, everything changes. Work becomes more than a paycheck. It becomes a contribution. Effort becomes more than survival. It becomes creation. Sacrifice becomes more than loss. It becomes investment. The heart beats with a different rhythm when it knows why it is beating. It finds energy in the early morning, patience in the long night, courage in the midst of storms, all because there is a clear reason to keep moving forward. Purpose also brings healing to wounds of the past. A person who has suffered disappointment or betrayal can carry that pain like a permanent scar, or they can channel it into a vision that transforms not only their life, but the lives of others. Many of the greatest breakthroughs in history came from individuals who turned personal pain into purposeful action. Their hearts were healed not by ignoring the trouble, but by giving it meaning through their pursuit of a greater calling. That same principle applies to every individual. When you connect your struggles to a bigger vision, the heart begins to heal because it realizes the pain was not wasted. Vision is fuel. It fuels resilience, creativity, and joy. A troubled heart is often tired not because the body is weak, but because the spirit is running on empty. Vision refills the tank. It gives the heart a destination and provides the emotional energy needed to keep moving. Even when the road is long, even when results are not immediate, the heart stays alive because it knows the journey matters. A person who has tapped into their true purpose can face the same storms that destroy others, yet emerge stronger because they were not living for comfort. They were living for something greater. Would you like me to now take these 6 expanded key points and weave them into a full speech in the same motivational Bob Proctor style flow?